All right, Marvel fans. Wow. Before we go into this, I just want to say that this video, I will try not to spoil anything in regards to Avengers Infinity War. I went to the 10:30 p.m. showing last night. I didn't get out of the theater until around 1:30 a.m. So this is pretty much a video going over my thoughts, just my initial thoughts on the movie. Within the next couple of days, I will definitely be doing a full review of the movie. Of course, those will have spoilers, as well as a live stream where I'll talk with other fans who have watched the movie. And I will probably do those around either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, sprinkle the videos throughout, due to the fact that this channel is mainly Tyler Perry based, and the haves and the have-nots comes back on the air at 9 p.m. tonight. So I guess you could say for the next 24 to 36 hours, Tyler Perry videos are going to be the main focus on the channel. But I had to get this video out while it was still fresh in my mind. I have to say that this movie was very, I give high praise to the Russo brothers for doing what they could with such a huge cast of characters. This is definitely one of the most ambitious movies, not just superhero movies, that I've ever seen. And I mean, the movie was cut at 2 hours, 29 minutes, or 2.5 hours basically. And I remember reading an article last week that the director said that, hey, this movie was long, but there was so much they had to cut out. But when it comes out on home release, I do believe it's coming out in August sometime on like DVD, Blu-ray, digital HD. And it'll have a lot of deleted scenes. So I hope that is the case. Let me just say that the movie itself, I enjoyed it. It was great. Like, I went by myself, but the theater wasn't really packed. I think that most of the people in my row, in the row in front of me, I was literally at the very top of the seats there, were college students. They introduced themselves to me. They're like, hey, we're from Lynchburg College, and we're actually not studying tonight because tomorrow is our reading day before finals, so we wanted to take a study break. So it was pretty fun talking with them, and just talking comic books in general. And even though I went by myself, it's pretty fun when you can involve yourself with the audience around you, like, screaming and, going, oh my God, did he just, and then stuff like that during the actual film, during certain parts. But I have to say that overall, I enjoyed the movie. I don't think I could say that it was my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film. I still think that if aside from Infinity War, my top 5 in no particular order would be the first one, Iron Man. To me, that still holds up today. Captain America, Civil War, and Winter Soldier. The original Avengers film, I love that one to pieces. And Black Panther, hands down. I feel like Infinity War, maybe I'll have to see it in maybe a second or third time to fully judge where I would place it. It's hard for me to say if I would put it in my top 5 though, because even though the movie was good, I mean, I do feel like there were some kind of nitpicks. So nothing, just nitpicks, because in some aspects, I feel like the fact that it was such a big movie was also what hurt it to be an amazing film, if you follow me, because I remember at certain parts, and I'm trying not to spoil anything, but for example, like a group of characters would be going off to do something, and then it would be like 30 or 40 minutes before they show it back on the screen. I remember at least 3 or 4 times watching the film when a certain group of characters will return back to the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they were off doing so and so. So it was pretty funny during those scenes. But I do feel like there was a lot going on, and I am a person that reads the comic books. I've watched all the movies, cinematic universe so far, so I am aware of all these characters and whatnot. But yeah, I can definitely see how the average moviegoer, I imagine that aside from die-hard fans of Marvel, people who watch Black Panther, that was like their first Marvel film, because it was definitely African-American superhero based in Africa, came out during Black History Month. I mean, it's not one of the top grossing movies in American history without a reason, so a lot of people, I can imagine, who aren't even casual superhero movie fans went to see Black Panther. So it wouldn't surprise me if they went to see Infinity War due to the fact that Black Panther was in it. But I feel like that's something that really did hurt the film, because there were so many characters that, yes, a lot of them, not all, got their time to shine, have their moments, have their quips, or, you know, have their personality shown on film. But something I didn't like was the fact that I mean, number one, there are too many cooks in the kitchen, but that goes back to what I said before, that I give the movie praise for definitely doing something that hasn't been done before with that many characters. Kind of to remind me of Dragon Ball Super. You got the Tournament of Power where you have 80 fighters in a ring at once, and then you have this movie with, gosh, who knows how many established Marvel Cinematic Universe characters in it at one time. And, you know, it's just like, I feel like things moved a bit too fast, believe it or not. Even though the film was cut at like 2.5 hours, I do feel like some things just kind of fast forward by. It's like we went from one scene to a next, one scene to a next. That it was really hard to keep up in some places. But, you know, I was able to follow the story. It just, I literally had to watch the movie harder than usual, if that makes any sense. You know, basically pay attention to every little thing, just so I make sure I don't miss anything or forget anything. And I guess you could say that goes to show how in-depth the scenes were. Like, every scene was great, and the fact that I was so engrossed with, you know, if you've seen the trailers, you know, Thor interacts with the Guardians, Banner gets sent back to Earth into the Sanctum, meets Doctor Strange, you know, Tony's there as well. Then Spider-Man shows up. Then, of course, the big fight scene, aside from the one on Titan, went down to Wakanda. So yeah, the movie was kind of all over the place, and it was kind of like watching you know, like wrestling or something like that, or Dragon Ball Z, where Goku and Frieza will be fighting on planet Namek, and then you go back to Earth and you see what other characters are doing. It's kind of like that, but not so filler-ish, if you will. Thor, I feel like he was the true MVP of the movie. And I'm going to end it here because I don't want to say too much about going into spoilers. But overall, I did have a good feeling watching the film. I did feel that in some ways, some characters were either acting out of their character, you know, like their personality. Like Star-Lord, I didn't really like him in this movie. And I mean, I actually rewatched Guardians 1 and 2 3 days ago because I haven't seen him in such a long time. And for anybody that used to watch the like the DC animated series, like Batman, Superman, Static Shock, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, you'll know whenever they did crossover episodes, like when Static Shock went to the when Static went to the future, and Batman Beyond, and in Justice League Unlimited, when Wonder Woman, Batman, and Green Lantern went to the future, which was Batman Beyond centric. And whenever they had those crossovers, Terry McGinnis was pretty much like a tool, like just like a douchebag. And Star-Lord kind of felt the same way. It's like everybody he interacted with, he was pretty much, you know, an asshole to for some reason. And I'm not going to say what he does in the film that kind of ruins everything, but I don't know, it just felt weird. And another thing, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, depowering. Some people were kind of weaker compared to how they should be. Like the Hulk, I get why there was the inner conflict of not hulking out in order to fight the opponents, but you had that. Thanos in the comic books, my God, even without the Infinity Gauntlet, he was like all powerful. So to see him, he wasn't like easily toppled by the ones any of the people he fought, but he was definitely pushed back. Then the Black Order, or Thanos' children, the children of Thanos. In the comics, they're a lot more powerful than they're portrayed in the movies, but I get how in this film they're more like the mini bosses. It's kind of like Pokemon, if you will, where you have the Elite Four and then you defeat them and then you can fight the champion. It kind of felt like that. But overall, I did enjoy the film. I did have a couple nitpicks here and there, but I'll definitely go into more detail when I do my spoiler movie review, which I'll probably have up by Wednesday. So if you haven't done so already, definitely go and see this movie. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any of the videos I have talking about the film, and I'll talk to you soon.